Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. I'm your host, Jill Hart, and with me today is Danielle Young. She is all about helping women get out of the victim mindset after abuse or trauma so that they can live a full, empowered, authentic life. As someone who survived domestic violence and was almost murdered by her abuser, she went through several years of healing, tried many different modalities, and became the person she needed on her healing journey but didn't have. Welcome to the show, Danielle. It's really great to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Jill. It's great to be here.
So tell us your story. That's pretty dramatic that
Yeah.
you went through so much trauma in your life.
Yeah. So it started, I met him when I was 18 and he was 28. I grew up very awkward. I was, very tall. I was taller than everyone. I did not date in school. No one was ever really interested in me. So I had, some self-esteem issues. And when he started showing interest in me, I thought, oh, this is new. This is cool. And there were red flags right off the bat. I ignored them. I was 18. I now refer to it as my rebellious experimental phase. Um, we started dating and it, it started out okay. I was really just more infatuated with the fact that someone was paying attention to me. And then that sort of escalated. It started off with, just simple like throwing things and being jealous and, being degrading and demeaning and, didn't want me to go to my families. He started the isolation. And then it just progressively got worse from there. And one night, I had a 3-week-old baby at the time, and he came home late, didn't know where he was the whole day, and I could tell something was up. He was an alcoholic, and I could tell he had been doing drugs. I didn't know what, but I just could. I mean, his eyes were just black pools. I mean, it was scary. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? I've had enough. And I stood up off the couch and he shoved me back down. And that's when the fight escalated. And I don't remember everything. Um, I remember making it somehow to my mom's house with blood all over me and calling the police. I've pieced together most of what happened that night. I still don't remember leaving. I still don't remember how I got to my mom's, but I just remember sort of after I got to my mom's and then, from there. I did take the baby with me. Yeah.
I wouldn't, no judgment if you didn't, because when you're in those kinds of situations, it's just like,
Yeah.
you're just
Yeah.
survive.
No, I know that I had her with me, but don't ask me how. I really don't remember I remember waking up. I remember him choking me. I remember him with a knife. Um, and I remember waking up, uh, on the floor looking up at the ceiling, and there was blood running down the wall. I don't know how it got there. I don't know if it was mine, if it was his. I have no idea.
Did he
Um,
stab you?
um,
Do you mind me asking you these questions? Maybe I should
yeah,
ask you that first.
he didn't stab me. He did cut me. Um, I did have cuts. Um, I don't remember getting those, but I did remember I was injured. So, I'm not sure if the blood I showed up on was mine or was a combination of his. Yeah, I don't know.
So then what happened? I'm on the edge of my seat.
So, the police came and I filed a report, which it was a joke, honestly. The officer that came was like, "Well, you're lucky to be alive." Like, "Well, thank you, but um, I would like something to happen to him."
Like protect and to serve on your door of your car that you drove over
Right.
here in.
Right. Um, and he just said, "Well, I can maybe take a drive-by." Like, a drive-by? Really? Um, do you not see, like, I have blood all over my shirt. Like, are you like, what? I was floored. And that was it. We went to court. I filed a domestic charge against him, and he got 26 weeks of anger management classes and a $25 fine. That was what my life was worth. I mean, it was such a joke. And, to be going through that and then I was traumatized once being abused, and then traumatized a second time by going through the court system, and then traumatized again when I found out that that was his only punishment. And then to top that off, the cherry on top of it all was we still had to do parenting classes together. And I thought, wow, something needs to change with this. I have a domestic violence suit against this man. They would not give me a restraining order because they said I wasn't in immediate danger because I had already left at that point. And I thought, he's still driving by my house. He's still stalking me. He's still calling me in the middle of the night. I mean, he obviously knew where my mom lived. He knew where I was. I was living in constant fear. I had no safety and security from the police, from our justice system, nothing, which is typical, unfortunately. Yeah, it's horrible. So from there, um, I spiraled down. I had no self-worth. I thought, I'm completely unlovable. I'm a burden. No one is ever going to want me again. I'm going to be alone the rest of my life. And I really did. I contemplated suicide. I thought about giving my daughter up for adoption because I thought I'm not fit to be her mother. I am such a mess. I am so broken down. I can't function. And I remember one night she was about 11 weeks old and she was sleeping in her little playpen. We were in my mom's living room. That's where we were living. And I remember just being awake because I couldn't sleep. And it was the middle of the night and she was sound asleep. She's laying on her back and her little arm above her head. And I just remember looking at her thinking, she deserves better than this. She needs me to wake up and to do something with my life. Like, I cannot stay like this. Um, and then that was when the light bulb moment hit. And I just said, okay, enough is enough. I've got to get my life together. And I went through some medical things right after I had her. So as soon as I was better from that, I got a job full time. I went back to school full time or part time in the evening. So I worked full time during the day, went to school at night. Put myself through college, and I was a mom. And I knew it was going to be hard. I didn't know how hard, but I knew that I needed to do it, and I needed to do it for both of us. I was not going to let him win. So I eventually got my own place. I got my degree. Um, and I remember the biggest thing was planning her first birthday party by myself. I paid for it all. I arranged it all. And that was at that moment, that was the proudest thing I had ever done. You know, like I was able to do this on my own. And that really gave me the confidence that I needed to keep putting one foot in front of the other and to keep going.
Story then. It's just the resilience that you have and the determination to accomplish the things that you did accomplish.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. It was just that mindset of I cannot drop anchor here. I don't
Yeah.
want to be like this.
The, not just for you, but for your daughter.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I don't know how old she is now, but as she becomes older and moves into adulthood, she will remember the stories that you tell her of your resilience. And that really does make a difference in how their lives go.
Yeah. She's 24.
Mhm.
And she just recently found out what happened. I didn't want to tell her while she was growing up, because I wanted to shelter her from that. I wanted her to focus more on who mom is today, who mom is encouraging me to be, and who she was becoming. I didn't want her to be burdened with what happened to me and with that thought of this is her father. And, I didn't want that for her. I had that with my dad. My dad was in and out of my life until I was 6, and then he just disappeared. So I suffered because of that. And I did not want that for her. I knew what kind of a person my
It's
dad was.
part of her life, her whole
No,
life growing up.
no, I don't know where he is.
So
He,
you had to do the parenting classes, but then you kind of moved on.
it was more of, I, I was the one who said enough. And I was supposed to tell him where I was at all times. I was supposed to tell him if I moved, if I, changed addresses or whatever. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. And so I basically just blocked him out of our lives. He eventually moved away.
Mhm.
And even though he moved away, I still never felt safe. I still never felt like I was okay. And the only reason I knew that he had moved away was because well, there was a child support order, but I was not getting any child support. And I forget what it was called, but the child support services told me, he had been arrested in Tennessee for selling illegal handguns. And that's when I said, okay, I'm making my exit. So I left my hometown, moved across country, and started a whole new life with my now husband.
Awesome. What a great story. I
Yeah.
really. So
Yeah.
you really do have the the background for helping somebody else step out in and step into their power and be their own hero of their story and not wallow in, woe is me. I'm always I am always and I never and they always and they never.
Yeah.
It's just so easy to fall into, especially with a newborn. Because I mean, on top of all of the things that you were experiencing, just the fact that you had given birth fairly recently
Hmm.
is like you've got all these hormones going through your mind, and you're not really sure about your ability to process thoughts correctly. I've
Yeah.
had 5 kids, so
Oh,
I know
so you
about
get
that
it.
part. I do
Yeah.
totally get it. It's like your brain shrinks when you're pregnant, and then it takes a
Mhm.
while for those neurons to like figure out where they're supposed to connect again.
Right. Yeah. You're kind of left in mental limbo for a while.
Yeah. I think they do that so you could just like gaze at your little baby and fall in love. Then you can work on
Yeah.
getting your life back together.
Yeah. And you don't realize how much sleep you're not getting.
Right, right. And maybe that contributes to the brain fog that we
Yeah.
all
Oh, for
experience.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my goodness. So you now provide coaching for people and you have some special modalities that work really well for you that
Mhm.
you practice over the years. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So yeah, I did try traditional therapy in the beginning, but
Mhm.
I am very action oriented, as you could probably tell from my story. I don't like to be passive in my healing. And for me, that's what therapy was. It's a great tool for those who it works for. It just didn't work for me. So I kind of switched from that to really searching for something. And a coworker of mine introduced me to yoga, and I was hooked. My yoga mat was my safe space. It was the place where I could go. I could actually just breathe. I could close my eyes. I felt peaceful. I was so disconnected before. I would get on my mat and it was like, oh, there's pieces of me that, are coming back. And it was so liberating for me to know that everything that I'd been through, I could go through the poses and I could do them. I wasn't doing them correctly, but it felt good to have that back in my body. I was reconnecting. And there for a while, my mat was my only safe place. It was the only place that I could come to close my eyes. I would try to meditate and close my eyes in different places, of my apartment, and I just couldn't. I would have to roll out my mat and just close my eyes and breathe. So that really helped with my getting my nervous system back into regulation and, really helped me become peaceful and calm. Other things that I've tried, I'm really an advocate for EMDR. I just did that within the last couple of years, and I thought that I had healed pretty much most of everything that I'd been through. No, EMDR really got to the heart and the root of some lingering stuff. And that was a game changer. Before that, there was self inquiry. And that was also transformational. That I teach that now. Um, Self inquiry is really, I like to use the analogy of like a boat on the water. So you see the boat floating on the water. Those are your emotions. Those are what you're feeling. Those are the things that you can see. Like, okay, I'm angry right now. But you don't see what's below that. You don't see the anchor that's tied down and holding you in place. What self inquiry does is it kind of crawls down that anchor and gets to the bottom of this thought, like, I'm unlovable. And it really dives in and helps you realize, oh, yeah, I've had this thought my whole life. It's just shown up in different ways in different places. And wow, okay, I can see the connection here. And now I can get rid of it. I can recognize it and I can toss it. So that's why I really love self inquiry. Other things that have worked, Yoga Nidra. I'm now a Yoga Nidra facilitator. The very first time I went to Yoga Nidra, we did a visualization about a well. And it was basically she led me through this visualization, was pulling things out of this well, and the knife that my abuser had used came up out of the well. And I thought, okay, that came up to go. It came up to clear. So Yoga Nidra is very transformative as well for me.
Is
And
yoga nidra.
Yeah, Yoga Nidra is a meditative type of yoga. It's like yogic sleep. So like one 45-minute session can equate to about 3 hours of sleep.
Mhm.
And it's just we go through some breathing, um, some visualization, some affirmations, and it just integrates all in while you are resting. You're in a resting state.
Is it like hypnosis?
No, no,
Or that therapy?
you're completely awake the whole time. You're just, I mean, some people do fall asleep. I don't, I don't necessarily recommend it, but it is okay to fall asleep. But you are just integrating it all.
And you want to tell people what EMDR is? I do actually know what it is, but I know
Y-
there are listeners out there that don't.
Yeah, so EMDR is a modality that uses both halves of your brain. And I always forget what the R stands for. So it's eye movement desensitization and something I forget what the R stands for. And it's eye movements while you're going through, um, like for instance, my practitioner used words. She would have me repeat words back to her while she was, like follow my finger, and my eyes would move back and forth, and I would have to say these words, and it was like reprogramming my brain using both sides.
Interesting how that some of these modalities that just seem like they're so simple are so effective. Tapping is
Yeah.
like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I'm just tapping on parts of my body.
Yeah.
And it really,
I know. And healing doesn't have to be hard. It really doesn't. It's about finding what works for you. And there's so much out there, and not everything is going to work for everybody. It's like therapy works for some people. It didn't work for me. EMDR might not work for someone. It worked great for me. That's why I love that there are so many things out there that we can just pick and choose from, because I encourage everyone, hey, try, like just go try a few sessions. And if it works, great, stick with it. If not, toss it out, find something else. It's not a Healing is definitely not a one size fits all.
so many choices, and none of them are really complicated or necessarily really all that expensive when you consider the cost of going to your doctor and maybe getting prescribed stuff that's going to also have effects on your physical being, um, and shorten your life, because almost everything that you take that's pharmaceutical shortens your life on some aspect or another. Which, if your life is already going to be much shorter, you probably want to take those drugs a little longer. But
Yeah.
I'm not advocating that people not take the things that they are prescribed, but there are so many other options out there that really, I think taking prescription drugs is sometimes kind of a lazy way out. Sometimes
Mm,
you need them for like short periods of time. Like if you're really depressed and suicidal, then maybe you need something to help you like bridge that gap until you can find somebody or learn about some of these modalities that can help you. But just slapping on that band-aid and hoping things are going to get better rarely works in my experience.
yeah, I think that medical intervention is necessary in some cases, like you said. A, what I believe, though, is healing forces you to be introspective. And if you're not in a place where you can do that, then yeah, it's like you said, being on medication, if it helps you get to that point, then great, use it. But I think the issue now is so many people become reliant and dependent upon it instead of getting really to the issue. And if it is absolutely medically necessary, then fine. There's absolutely no judgment or no shame there. But, this is healing is definitely not for the weak. It's really not. Like, this is a journey, and they call it a journey for a reason. And if you need medical help to get you through it, go for it.
Yeah. But there are a lot of coaches around now. And, uh, you know, you reach out to people and people can reach out to you. You've walked the walk, you've seen what works for you, and you do offer a consultation for people if they just want to see what you're all about. And you also offer a free guide, 3 essential steps to reclaim your power.
Mhm.
And we're not going to tell anybody what those steps are. You have to go order the thing, order the guide,
It's free.
but it's free, and it can help you really get centered. I think that's like the first step, is like making a decision to make your life better.
Yeah.
And then these 3 steps will help you along that. Take the first 3 steps towards your healing journey.
Yeah. Yeah. My consultation call, it's absolutely free. We just hop on the phone. We just have a conversation. I'm not pushy. I'm not salesy at all. I really do want to get to know you, what you're going through, like where you are, where you want to be, and if I can help you get there. I don't accept everyone into my coaching program. If we are not the right fit, then I will tell you, I want you to find the right fit. So yeah, you can find all that on my website. You can schedule a call with me there. The free guide is also there.
We
And
will put
there's,
all the links in the show notes so
yeah, and
they'll
there's,
be able to find you.
okay. Yeah, and there's lots of information on my website as well.
Yes, you have a lot of information on your website.
I
It's
do.
really very thorough. I did want to ask you how you do your coaching though. Is it groups? Is it one-on-one? Is it a combination? How does that all
It's
that look?
it's one-on-one and it's a 3-month program.
Mhm.
So basically, we start off with understanding trauma and really digging into getting grounding and to getting grounded and nervous system regulation because you can't heal if you're still in fight or flight. You're not thinking rationally, you're not making rational decisions. So we really want to work on getting that nervous system back into a homeostatic state. And then we start working on building resilience and confidence and smashing those limiting beliefs and really just honing in on what are those negative thoughts that you're having that are holding you back. Then the third month, we start integrating and goal setting, and it's all about moving forward outside of the program. Like, what are your long-term goals? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And by this point, you should have a pretty good idea of where you want to be in your life.
And it again, you have the experience, not just the head knowledge to really help people move through the pain into a well-adjusted life because you've walked the journey yourself.
I have. Yeah. Yeah. I bring a lot of empathy and compassion to my coaching, and not everyone can say that they can do that.
Yes. And it's not it's not about, you have to be in this really terrible place because you were in a really horrible place.
Yeah.
But abuse comes in a lot of different flavors,
Hmm.
and it even a little abuse is a lot of abuse. It
Hmm.
has lifelong, it can have lifelong effects on you until
Absolutely.
you understand that the tools to actually to fix it. And it shows up in ways you don't even expect. I mean, it
Hmm.
just like it can show up in your business, it can show up in your personal relationships. You're
Yeah.
always going to end up attracting people that just continue to make your life miserable because you
Yeah.
allow it. You don't know how to not allow that to happen to you anymore. So it just, you may move through one relationship and it does not even a man-woman relationship or partner relationship. It could just be like friends, series of friends that you go through, and they all have a common thread that reinforces this trauma that you've gone through, but you haven't actually identified in your life.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah,
important to heal.
it is. And I hear this a lot. I keep attracting toxic people into my life. Well, have you done the work yourself? What is it that you are seeing? Because our people are our mirrors. So if we're seeing, oh wow, this person's really toxic. Okay, what haven't you healed yourself? And that's really the first step. And oh, okay, I don't know. And that's where something like coaching can come in. We can sit down and go over, okay, what's going on, what's happened. So you can stop attracting those toxic people into your life and you can start attracting the people who are for your greatest and highest good. Because those are ultimately the people that you want to be around. You don't want to keep being around people who re-traumatize you.
Uh, and sometimes it means moving away from people, and
Mhm.
sometimes just changing yourself will change the people that are around you.
Absolutely.
I've noticed that
Yeah.
in my own life.
Oh,
Um,
same.
it's just like,
Same.
oh, I show up different and they show up different.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Oh, yeah. The amount of people that I've lost on my journey, it's, and I don't, people with abandonment wounds will have a hard time with this at first. And I know I did. It's that
Um,
fear of everyone leaving. And what I ultimately came to understand is, no, these people are making room for new, better people to come in. These people are just not on my path anymore. They're not on my journey.
and they
I
can
would,
be family members.
mm-hmm.
Like, I have a
Oh,
child
yeah.
that's in that
Oh,
category. It's really sad, but
yeah. It's hard when it's family.
it's really hard. But it's kind of like you have to release them. They're
Mm-hmm.
on their own journey, and
Yeah.
for me, I hope she comes back at some point. But for now, she is what it is, and
Yeah.
I can be at peace with that.
And I think that this notion that because they're family, that we have to put up with it. No,
Oh yeah.
you don't. I don't care who they are. If it is violating a boundary or if it is violating your moral and ethical principles, no, I don't care who they are to you. You do not, I mean, you absolutely do not have to put up with it.
And you don't have to hate them. You can just let them
No.
go. I it
Yeah.
just look it doesn't have to be a judgment on them. It just means that for now they need their own space.
Mm-hmm.
And by leaving them, you do actually open the door to allow them to heal if that's what they choose. I firmly believe we're all here to do what we're here to do. And and when we try to force relationships, I think it causes more problems than it solves.
It does. Yeah. I mean, anything that has to be forced is not meant for us.
Mhm. And it's okay.
Yeah. It's
It's
totally okay.
and I think that was one of the biggest lessons I've learned. It's
Mm,
just like everything's okay.
yeah. It's a tough lesson.
It can just be
Yep.
be as it is. Danielle, I really enjoyed chatting with you today.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate you being so vulnerable and sharing your story with us. That is a really powerful story and a great testament to your resilience. And I really appreciate that. I wanted you to know that.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
So, what's the one thing you hope the audience takes away from our conversation today?
If you are recognizing yourself in anything that we've talked about today, just know that you are not alone. There's help out there, there's resources out there that can help you either get out of a situation or help you heal from one. And it's ultimately going to be up to you to make that first step. But you can do it. You can do it.
Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the U World Order or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.